If you're a self-published author with a minimal marketing budget, I'm going to break down what the best marketing tactic, the one marketing tactic that you must do according to USA Today best-selling author Elana Johnson. And I'm going to share not only just what the marketing tactic is, but we're going to be going to the computer and I'm going to show you exactly how to put it to work. But before we get started, I'm Denny with Weekend Publisher, and if you're new here, make sure you subscribe, and if you find this video helpful as well, hit that like button. It sure would mean a lot to me. But before we get into what the marketing tactic is, let me just make sure I give appropriate credit to where I got this information from. So on March 11th, well, actually KDP has this program, these webinars, I believe they're weekly through KDP University. And if you're not familiar with it, I'll link it down below. But on March 11th, I watched this 1 hour webinar with best-selling author Elana Johnson. And in that, an hour webinar, video webinar, but in that hour, she talked about her background, how she got started, her method to launching books, and of course, marketing. By the way, if you've never heard of her, it's quite impressive. She actually has 130 books out on KDP, which is quite impressive. In fact, I think she mentioned in the video that within 1 year, she launched 42 or 43 books, which is really impressive. Like, that's almost a book a week. So I don't know how. She's mentioned that she's a really fast writer and she has 2 assistants, but regardless, that's really impressive. But I encourage you to look at these KDP University weekly webinars, because I love watching these, especially people doing at a much higher level than I am. So I love absorbing that information and sharing it with you on this YouTube channel, in my Facebook group, with my coaching clients, and of course, taking those lessons and applying them to my own books. But enough vamping, I'm not going to let you wait any longer. So what did in the video, she was asked an audience question. If you're a brand new author, or if you're an author with just a minimal budget, what is the one marketing tactic that you have to be using? And her answer is run Amazon ads, but in a very specific way. And I would agree with this. I love Amazon ads. I've always been a big proponent of Amazon ads. I'm not going to get too much into it, but some of the pros about them is that it gives you a lot of data that you get to work with. Secondly, it is a great way to give you some steady sales. And thirdly, you get to advertise on the platform where the buyers are. So relative to Facebook, people are on Amazon because it's a store. They're ready to buy, as opposed to on Amazon where it's literally just a social media and you don't necessarily find people in that buying mode. Now, of course, there are some cons with Amazon ads. Like, firstly, they're not necessarily a set and forget entirely. Yeah, there is some aspects of set it and forget it, but if you truly want them to be firing in all cylinders, you can't do that. And secondly, and sort of going back to the pro, is that you do get a lot of data. So unless you're like a truly analytical geek like myself, who loves to go into the actual numbers and the search terms, you're not going to get 100%. Again, you're not going to be getting it to fire on all cylinders. But there is an easy way to do it, and that's through automatic ads. Now, there's a lot of different theories out there on what's the best way to get started with Amazon ads. Like, if you've ever taken Brian Cohen's Income School free week or month course anyway, he has a certain method. I have a certain method, and of course, Elana Johnson has a certain method. And I thought it was really interesting and actually quite good. So I'm going to share that with you. So let's head over to the computer. I'm going to show you exactly how to set up the ad according to her. Right, so to get started creating your first ad, and according to Elana's specifications that she recommends, we go to advertising.amazon.com. And if you've never been here, you're gonna have to sign in to your Amazon account, and more than likely before you create an account, you're gonna have to submit your payment information, because they're going to want to know like who to charge the ads to. So you're gonna have to do that if it's your first time. But to create a campaign, and the campaign that we're going to be creating is quite easy. On this page here, you have a yellow or yellowish orange button. That's kind of standard orange, Amazon orange. You just click on create campaign here, and you're going to have a variety of options here. You have sponsored ads, sponsored brands, and lock screen ads. Lock screen ads, I personally have had like next to zero luck with lock screen ads. It's sort of like the same thing with BookBub ads. Like, I just haven't had like any luck with it, and
for that reason, I just can't recommend it. I know some authors have had better luck than I, but yeah, I just can't recommend them. Sponsored brands are really great. I don't need to wear those. Sponsored brands is great, and this is brand new. And this is fantastic. However, you need to have 3 or more products or 3 or more books essentially to advertise. I think it's the maximum of 6 products or books you can advertise. So between 3 and 6, it's great for book series, but if you just have 1 or 2 books out, you're not going to be able to use that. What we're going to be using here is the sponsored products, and it's select on that, or select that, and let me just zoom in here a little bit so you could see a little bit better. Yeah, let's walk through this. So we can create our campaign. So campaign name. This is really up to you. You want to name it something that you could easily identify it from others in the list. So if you have multiple books, I usually put like for Catch the Unicorn, I'll put CTU. For other books, I'll just put the letters. Usually I put what type of targeting I'll be doing. In this case, we'll be doing automatic targeting as per her recommendation. And then sometimes I'll put a date or something that like specific that I'm trying. Like if I'm trying a manual ad campaign, what is it? Is it going towards author names or books or so on? Anyways, I'll let you kind of come up with your own system, and you'll figure it out over time. Start date, March 12th. Yeah, that's fine. End date. Now this is what you want to do is run your ad for a minimum of 30 days up to 65 days to get the proper amount of data. Now you might be thinking, okay, 65 days, that's a really weird, like that's not a round number. Like where do you get 65 from? Well, 65 days is the maximum date range that you can run a report through your Amazon ads. And I'll show you just quickly at the end there how to run a report. So you don't have to put an end date. It's optional. If you don't put an end date, it will run from now until your credit card bounces. But I usually don't put an end date because I check my Amazon ads almost every day. So I don't put an end date. But if you just kind of want to set it for 30 days and just kind of forget about it, set your daily budget so it's not going to go over that, yeah, put an end date. Daily budget. So you can put here, what I recommend is, and Elana as well, is starting with a minimum of $1 a day. You can go $2 a day, you can go $5 a day, you can go $50 a day. Now, the big thing with Amazon relative to other ad platforms like Facebook ads is that Amazon very rarely spends your entire budget. So even if you put $50 a day, it's going to be probably almost never, depending on what category your book is in and what keywords it might potentially rank for. But and your potential cost per click, which your bid-in target, which we're going to talk about, but it's probably not going to spend that much. In your case, if you're just testing this out, I'd recommend either $1 or $2 a day. In this case, I'm going to put $2 a day. Now, targeting. We have 2 options here, automatic and manual targeting. For this, especially for your very first Amazon ad, it's just easier just to go with automatic targeting. I always run auto targeting ads for my books because it comes up with potential search terms that I never would have thought of that gets me sales. I can now take those search terms and put them in a manual targeting campaign, but I don't want to get too ahead of myself. What we're going to be doing is just automatic targeting. Amazon, with automatic targeting, Amazon's going to be using your keywords, your book description, your categories, maybe even what people say in the reviews, maybe even the content of the book. Who knows how Amazon comes up with the automatic targeting. But it's going to automatically guess what keywords are going to work and what books are going to work best to drive traffic to your book. All right, so next one is campaign bidding strategy. So we have really 2 options here. Is dynamic bids down only and dynamic bids up and down. I usually recommend up and down if you really want to get the maximum amount of data. but down only really works if you are like a really budget conscious. In this case, I do want to lean more towards the budget conscious aspect of bidding for potential placements on Amazon. So I'm going to pick down only. Next one is ad format. I'm just going to pick standard ad format. You can go custom as well. I find custom works better with non-fiction books, although that's something that you can test out in the future as well. But for now, just to make things super simple, we're just going to pick standard ad. All right, scrolling down. Now we select our products here. So you want to select your book. I'm just going to select Catch Unicorn. Now, automatic bidding. This is where we're going to spend a little bit of time here. Set your default bid. So it says suggested bid 63 cents or a range of 50 cents to $1.26. Now, in my experience and a lot of my clients' experience, this suggested bid sometimes is accurate, sometimes is way off. It might say a suggested bid of 63 cents, but I'm getting those clicks for like 15 cents. So you can kind of take it with a grain of salt. It might be accurate, it might not. So just because of that, I don't really pay that much attention to it. So our default bid here. So Elana, she recommends, now before I tell you what she recommends, this is where a lot of theories differ. I know with like Brian Cohen's course, he usually recommends like 20 cents or 21 cents and then working it up. With Elana, she recommends 41 cents. So that means you're going to be paying, you're telling Amazon that I only want to pay a maximum of 41 cents to get a click for someone to look at my book. One of the great things with Amazon ads is that you only pay when someone clicks on your ad. You don't pay for impressions. Impressions being them just showing the ad. And if they just show the ad and nobody clicks on it, you don't pay anything. And when someone clicks on it, you only pay a maximum of 41 cents. Now, 41 cents might seem a little low. It might seem a little high depending on your experience. But what she recommends, which I think is a great idea, is starting at 41 cents, waiting 5 days to see if you're getting any sort of impressions, if it's getting displayed at all to any potential buyers. If it's not, and you'll know when you go check, it's only impressed like maybe a dozen times when it really should be hundreds of times within 5 days. Of course, you have to take into account because there could be a day or two sometimes in moderation of Amazon to make sure the ad goes through. But yeah, 5 days after that, you check the impressions. If it's not getting any impressions, you increase it by 5 cents. So you go up to 46 cents. If you're getting impressions, you go up to, if you're not getting any at 46 cents, after 5 days, you go up to 51 cents. You should be getting impressions at 51 cents. If you're not, then there's something wrong. Negative keyword targeting. This is optional. Usually you can put something in like free or erotica, like if you're in the romance and it's not erotica, so you don't want to be impressed. You don't want your ad to be shown, or you don't want to pay for any clicks for those type. Usually I like to just keep it wide open. Again, just opening ourselves up to the most amount of data possible. And that's really why we're running this, is to get data. All right, after we've done that, we click on Launch Campaign. And it says you successfully created your campaign. Your campaign is pending approval from our moderation team. It could take up to 72 hours. And I've created a lot of campaigns, and usually it doesn't take 72 hours. Usually it takes like maybe 4, maybe 6 hours. Usually it's much faster than that. But I think it really depends on, I don't know, how busy Amazon is. Okay, so let's say we waited our 30, 40, 50, 65 days maximum to get all the data. So what do we do? How do we extract the data? Well, the best way is to run a report. Now, I haven't used this. This is really the best way. I haven't used this. I usually just go into the actual ad group and look at search terms. But reports really is the best way here. There we are. And you can see I haven't ran too many reports. But yeah, you just go in the left sidebar here, run reports, create a report, and the report period. And then this is where that maximum of 65 days takes into place. So you select a few options, and then you run your report. And it's going to show you all the search terms, all the ASINs, everything. It's going to show you your click-through ratio. It's going to give you a bunch of data. Thankfully, recently, Amazon came up with, if you're in the KDP Select, how many page reads that ad brought to you, and then of course how many sales as well. And that data is extremely valuable. What do you do with that data? That's sort of beyond the scope of this video, but just really quickly, you can extract those keywords, and you can create manual exact keyword match campaigns and try to get those sales on those keywords for even less. But I'm going to stop it right there, because this video literally could be hours. Like, there are books, there are courses, there are Facebook groups dedicated to Amazon ads and optimizing Amazon ads and troubleshooting them. It's just like such a wide scope, but I wanted to make this video to show you the settings that Elana recommended, because I really thought they were great. And this is the easiest way and the least expensive way to start getting exposure for your book.
So that was how to set up an Amazon ad according to the specific criteria and recommendation by Elana Johnson. So comment below, let me know, are you going to be using this? Did you follow along, and are you going to be implementing this exact recommendation? Have you used Amazon ads in the past? If so, what were your results? Comment below if you found this useful, subscribe and like the video. And again, I'm Denny with Weekend Publisher. I'll see you in the next one.